On a cold December day in 1821, while much of Massachusetts celebrated Christmas, a baby girl was born in the small town of North Oxford. Her parents, Stephen and Sarah Barton, named her Clarissa Harlow Barton. Few could have imagined that this shy, reserved child would one day earn the title, Angel of the Battlefield, and transform humanitarian aid in the United States forever. Clara was the youngest of 5 children. Her brothers and sisters were all older, and she often felt like the baby of the family. She was sensitive, easily overwhelmed, and painfully shy. In fact, as a child, she spoke so softly that many people had to lean in to hear her. But her quietness should not be mistaken for weakness. From a young age, Clara displayed a fierce sense of responsibility and compassion. One of her earliest and most formative experiences came when her brother David suffered a severe accident. He fell from the roof of a barn and was gravely injured. Doctors gave little hope for his recovery. But Clara, only 11 years old, refused to give up. She spent nearly 2 years caring for David, cleaning his wounds, applying medicine, feeding him, and keeping him company during long nights of pain. Against all odds, David survived, and Clara's reputation in her family as a natural caregiver was sealed. This period ignited her lifelong dedication to nursing and showed her that steadfast devotion could save lives. Outside of caregiving, Clara was intelligent and curious, but her shyness made formal schooling difficult. Teachers often mistook her quiet nature for weakness, but her siblings helped draw out her strengths. She became an avid reader and a determined student. Her love for learning would later carry her into a career in education. In her late teens, Clara began teaching school. At just 17 years old, she proved that a woman could succeed in a profession often dominated by men. She became a gifted teacher, known for her patience and ability to connect with students. Teaching gave her confidence, and soon Clara was no longer just a timid girl, she was a respected educator. One of her proudest accomplishments came in Bordentown, New Jersey, where she founded the first free public school in the area. Under her leadership, the school grew quickly, eventually enrolling hundreds of students. But Clara's triumph was soured when the school board decided that such a large institution required a male principal. Despite the fact that Clara had built the school from the ground up, the position was given to a man. Heartbroken and insulted, Clara resigned. This disappointment became a turning point in her life. She realized that women often faced unfair barriers, and she would need resilience to carve out her path. Her journey soon took a new direction, one that would lead her to Washington, D.C. In the nation's capital, Clara took a position at the U.S. Patent Office, becoming one of the first women to work there. It was a groundbreaking achievement, but it did not come without challenges. Male colleagues ridiculed her, and at times she was paid less than men for the same work. Yet Clara persisted. Her time at the Patent Office taught her how to navigate bureaucracy, organize paperwork, and demand fairness, skills that would later serve her well in her humanitarian work. In April 1861, the American Civil War erupted. The nation was divided, and the conflict quickly escalated into one of the bloodiest wars in American history. Soldiers poured into Washington, many of them wounded and in desperate need of medical care. Clara saw their suffering firsthand and felt compelled to act. She began collecting supplies, bandages, food, clothing, and medicine, often paying for them herself or soliciting donations from friends and neighbors. Soon, she was not just delivering goods but also tending directly to soldiers. Unlike many nurses who stayed behind the lines, Clara insisted on going to the front. She worked under fire, bringing aid where it was needed most. At Antietam, one of the war's deadliest battles, Clara worked tirelessly among the fallen. At one point, a bullet tore through her sleeve and killed the soldier she was helping. Yet Clara never fled. Her bravery became legendary. Soldiers began calling her the angel of the battlefield because of her tireless devotion and calm presence amid chaos. Clara's contributions went beyond physical care. She also wrote letters home for dying soldiers, delivering final words to grieving families. For many, she was the last comforting presence they knew. After the war, helping families find the missing when the war ended in 1865, the country was left shattered. More than 600,000 soldiers had died, and countless others were missing. Families wrote desperate letters asking for information about their loved ones. Clara recognized the need and established the Office of Missing Soldiers. She and her staff received over 41,000 inquiries and were able to locate more than 22,000 missing men. For grieving families, Clara's work was a beacon of hope. She provided not only answers but also dignity to those whose lives had been torn apart. Discovering the Red Cross in 1869, exhausted from years of service, Clara traveled to Europe for rest. But rest did not last long. While abroad, she learned about the International Red Cross, a humanitarian movement founded in Switzerland. The organization provided aid during wartime under a neutral flag, protecting both soldiers and civilians. Clara was deeply inspired and resolved to bring the idea to America. Convincing the U.S. government, however, was no easy task. Many leaders believed that America did not need such an organization, especially during peacetime. But Clara argued that the Red Cross could also provide aid during natural disasters. She spent years campaigning, writing, and persuading politicians. Finally, in 1881, her persistence paid off. The American Red Cross was founded, with Clara as its first president. Leading the American Red Cross under Clara's leadership, the Red Cross expanded its mission. It not only provided aid during the Spanish-American War but also responded to natural disasters such as floods, tornadoes, and hurricanes. Clara insisted that compassion should know no boundaries and that humanitarian aid should reach anyone in need. Her leadership style, however, was not without controversy. She was independent, strong-willed, and sometimes reluctant to delegate. Critics accused her of being too controlling, and in 1904, after more than 2 decades of leadership, Clara resigned as president of the Red Cross. Yet even in stepping down, she did not retire from service. She founded the National First Aid Society, promoting training and readiness for emergencies, ideas that remain part of modern first aid programs today. Final years. Clara Barton lived a long life, passing away on April 12, 1912, at the age of 90. By then, she had become a national hero. She had redefined what it meant to be a nurse, a humanitarian, and a woman in leadership. Today, her legacy endures. Schools, hospitals, and memorials bear her name. The American Red Cross continues to embody her vision, providing disaster relief and humanitarian aid across the globe. Clara Barton proved that a single determined individual, even a shy girl from a small Massachusetts town, can change the course of history. Her life reminds us that compassion is not weakness, but strength, that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it, and that ordinary people, when moved by empathy, can accomplish extraordinary things. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel and see you soon.